I mean, for most recently, they haven't obviously performed too well outside of obviously winning the cycle. I think it was cycle 5 or 4.
It was cycle 4, I believe it was. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I think they still have some things to prove. Obviously, with those kind of players on the team, they're almost expected to do well, and so hopefully, they've got a good way to sort of prove themselves if they can beat Reason today as well.
Yeah, BMG really has been a very interesting team this season. They got the brand name, and that is Bad Monkey Gaming, of course, but this is obviously a very different team, and 100% a different team for that matter. Well, at least I guess Super KG kind of still. But anyways, the point being the last season, going into this season, a different roster. They've had their issues. They had players kind of come and go. But here we are, the final cycle. And yeah, it's interesting, picking up, of course, Pallet and Own Me most recently. And then, of course, filling out the roster, Super KG, Haxerin, and Tankafet right there. So, but you're right. I mean, this is definitely a star-studded team. No doubt a team that can compete with their skill level, could even win a cycle if everything comes together 100%. So, but again, this is a great. I mean, this could easily be a finals matchup in itself with these two teams going at it.
Right.
So, excited that we have this in the round of 8. Now, before we get too much into as actually this draft here is developing. Well, actually, okay. Well, let's talk about the draft. We'll get to what I want to here shortly, soon enough. But anyways, so speaking of the draft, the initial bans, by the way, it looks like it was Behemoth, Ophelia, Parasite, and Dr. Repulsor. Interesting stuff there. Of course, the Behemoth ban. I assume that was banned by BMG. Recent Gaming has been known to play that Behemoth quite effectively. So the picks then Nymphora, they love their Nymphora. Warbeast, another hero that's strong lately, and Dampier coming out. You got Deadwood, Bubbles, and Vindicator here on BMG side. Again, this is also worth noting. This is BMG the first time we're going to see them because they were in goal last cycle for the new patch. So going to see how they've adapted even with this patch 3.6 balance changes and everything. But anyways, what do you think of this draft here on both sides here, Minnie?
Yeah, obviously something that should be noted, obviously Dr. Repulsor ban, I think a hero that we've talked about quite in depth, obviously about the hero, just very, very strong, particularly in this patch. Warbeast picks up as well. I think the heroes begin a lot more momentum, obviously, because of the recent buffs. And then Reason sort of going something that they know, Nymphora Dampier, we've seen it time and time again, and it works for them as well. I'm a little bit surprised Swiftblade was still on the board, but they haven't picked it. It's probably going to go through the whole game without probably seeing him, and I think this comes down to teams, really. A lot, like I said, I mentioned a little bit before as well. I think in this meta particularly, a lot of heroes can work, and because of that, then obviously different teams have different styles. Obviously, we see Reason now with like Dampier and 4. Obviously, we haven't seen too much of BMG, but because of that, the draft and bans and picks will all be different depending on what team you are.
Yeah, it's you see the final ban even coming out right there on the second tier of bans now. But yeah, definitely interesting seeing that Vindicator coming out here for BMG. Of course, BMG, when Zibe was a part of the team, infamous with that, but not a part of the team no longer. Now, who does Zibe play? He plays for Fresh, right? I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he plays for Fresh over there. So, by the way, quick update on that as we do look at the brackets and all the other matches. First off, you notice the bottom portion of the bracket is pretty crazy, man. Not only do we got this matchup, but you got Willowkeeper versus Nullstone Gaming. Also going to be competing against one another, and the winner of that series will play the winner of this one, and then also the same with the losers, so that's going to be very interesting. But then you look up at the top portion, Fresh versus Pymakerus. It was actually played yesterday in a rescheduled match. So they played yesterday. Fresh did win that 2-0. It was covered by Znui, I believe, so for those of you that may happen to catch it, I got a little bit of it myself. But anyways, Fresh moving on, Pymakerus dropping to lose back, and of course Sync Esports versus Shrek is Love also going to be happening at the same time. So worth noting there as far as the other series that, of course, are taking place currently. But things developing here. We got the Tempest, Prisoner, Keeper of the Forest, Chipper, Legionnaire, and Kraken bans. Very heavy jungle bans coming out from Reason Gaming. You see Tempest, Keeper, and Legionnaire already with Parasite and Ophelia banned out. So really limiting Tankafet's options here, most likely, as far as what he's going to play. Magnus now coming out for Reason. But yeah, what do you think of the jungle heavy bans here?
Yeah, like I said, I think this goes back to the individual team as well. Obviously, they hadn't picked up a support either, and I think Reason, I think they almost want BMG to sort of pick a dual support lineup, and so they sort of ban out a lot of the junglers, and obviously Tankafet, world renowned obviously on Tempest or any kind of the junglers, and I'm not too sure if Tankafet's been playing a lot of sort of second support really, so maybe sort of almost sort of banning out some of the signature heroes and trying to make him not as comfortable on that maybe second support.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that Glacius coming out here. So now the final pick for Reason Games. Seems like Glacius, by the way, has been getting a lot of steam again recently, you know, for a cool hero. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyways, a support hero that had his time. He definitely died off for a while, but we've been seeing him more and more recently for whatever reason. Of course, he did have that aura change, getting the mana buff. You think that's what maybe put him over the edge again?
I really do think that's the reason why, and it's not just because what it does. I think it's because of what heroes you can pick up with it as well. I was talking to Insania actually a little bit yesterday, and he sort of says the Glacius Warbeast combo is so good. Not only did obviously Warbeast get the reduction and mana cost changes, but you know the Glacius E as well. It just allows a lot of heroes that we don't see too much be able to be used because of that extra little bit of mana. So I think that's the main reason, and the reason obviously finish it off with sort of a signature hero of Jerazaya as well. I think this is going to be most likely a second support Jerazaya because Warbeast will be Suicide.
Yeah, Recent Gaming, they ran a bit of Jerazaya last week, and of course even against Sync Esports in the Grand Final series, I believe it even was. They fought them twice there, but yeah, I believe it was in that. But anyways, point being, they've been running a bit of Jerazaya. I think we saw him 4 times in total, which is the first 4 times we've seen him throughout the season, actually, which is pretty crazy. But Engineer the final. I was going to say, now they pick up that Jerazaya final pick, but with the other team allowed to respond, and that's usually pretty risky for such a reason right here. You know, they go with that Engineer final pick. They could have got Electrician as well. It just seems like, you know, Engineer fits, or Pearl as we saw even, yeah. But, I mean, Engineer in his own right, definitely powerful altogether. I mean, not only just a great support hero to have, but extra powerful against Jerazaya because of that Purge with his ultimate. So that's why I do look at that Jerazaya pick a little bit, and you got to question it somewhat as far as was that the smartest option here.
Yeah, definitely, and I think if you look at the sort of draft here from BMG as well, they don't have the greatest sort of late game potential, obviously outside of maybe the Vindicator. Obviously they've got a good game potential with Deadwood and Bubbles, and also a good team fight with Glacius and Engineer, and Jerazaya is obviously one of those heroes that you want to get involved in team fights, but that just kind of plays into BMG's hands, obviously who's got the Engineer here as well, but at the same time I think I think they're less worried about getting counterpicked than making sure they've got heroes they're comfortable on. Like that's why, you know, people ban out the Behemoth, because they can play so well on these signature heroes that most teams couldn't, put it simply. So I think that's the main reason. Although, you know, it does get counterpicked here, I think they're not too worried.
Oh, look at this, the Hellhound. This kind of thinks out. It's like, well, found the whole team over here. So Reason Gaming not being, or excuse me, Bad Monkey Gaming. I look at Own Me and I see the Reason tag.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's going to be annoying. Anyways, BMG over here, they kill a Hellhound off. So obviously Reason Gaming is very aware of what BMG has planned. Now, real quickly, before we get too much into this match, one thing I wanted to talk about, like I mentioned before, is hopefully not too much happens here, but is the new flash sales that are being introduced starting this cycle. And if you haven't looked it up, you can actually, there's a Haunter post on it, there's a forum post, but real quickly, just pull it up on screen right here for you guys to check out. This is the flash sales that are starting with this cycle. So basically, whenever a certain action happens within the game, a certain avatar will go on sale. The gold coin price will go on sale for a certain limited time. You see 30 minutes, some of them 60 minutes even, up 20 up to even 40% for whatever the case is. So there's a list of what it entails. The one that we can pretty much guarantee every game, of course, is the First Blood, and that current avatar will then go on sale for 20% off for 30 minutes. So this is a way to, you know, help keep you guys definitely tied in with what's going on with the matches, with also, you know, perhaps purchasing some sweet avatars as a result of it. And the list goes down, so you guys can check it out on, of course, the either the forum post or the Han Tour post as well, if you would like. But yeah, going back to the game, speaking of First Blood, we could be seeing it right here. Glacius in a lot of trouble. He's going to be killed most likely. Who's going to get the kills? The question, it's going to be Dampier right there. Imba Boy picking it up. Bloodlust kill. So sure, that's a flash sale, but more importantly, Reason Gaming, that is a hell of a start for them right here.
Yeah, definitely. And this all goes back to sort of controlling the sideline. Like, you control the sideline in a tri-lane, you know, you can easily get kills like that. And I think, honestly, Palo was just a little bit out of position, but then Flora's getting harassed as well. But yeah, this lane down is going to be very, very aggressive. And I think this might actually benefit BMG, really. The reason being is because Nymphora and Magma is not the strongest of tri-lanes here. They need a lot of XP to get involved, whereas Glacius and Engineer do offer a little bit more in terms of early levels. Yeah,
but that Bloodlust kill, you know, you got to take that into consideration, no doubt. That's going to really excel Dampier that much quicker. In fact, he's going to the side shop right now. He's going to buy boots. Yeah, he's already going to get his boots. So that's going to give him the momentum, as well as even a mana battery. You know, we talk about all the time, Tri versus Tri-Lane. That is a very, very powerful item to have in that case. So yeah, maybe on paper, from the very beginning, sure, you like the NG Vindicator Glacius, but with the way this thing started,
yeah,
got to take that into consideration. And they have that War
yeah.
Beast.
I was just gonna say, like, I mean, with the style of draft here for recent, so for BMG, they kind of have to get aggressive, as I said, because they don't have the greatest late game. Obviously, they're fighting against Jeremiah, Warbeast, and Dampier, so it makes sense to obviously try and tri-lane, trying to get aggressive and try and put on the pressure early. However, they are fighting against Warbeast, and that hero is so good when you're fighting against tri-lanes. It's bottom lane
Engineer's
Engineer.
in trouble. There's a Terrorize in the Fear. Is he going to end up falling? It looks like it. Maybe no. Dampier gets pushed back. Great Kex done. Will save himself as well. Set some pressure on a Dampier. Not going to be any kills in the end. But that was good team support and a very good Kex done from Tankafet right there, giving him the distance and almost giving them a chance for a counter kill actually onto Dampier. I think the stunts could have maybe been a little better staggered too.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit staggered, but also the Warbeast battle cry just ended when they took that engagement. Whether they're communicating with Zane to make sure to have battle cry on when they go for a kill or having it on all the time, I think he should definitely save it for going for those engagements, because if he did have the battle cry there, that was a guaranteed kill on Engineer as well.
Yeah. Oh, back to the bottom lane. I might as well not leave this lane as usual. Dampier, he goes over the lifesteal with the fight. Beautiful seal stun. Glacier's going to fall in, but boy, will survive. That's the lifesteal kicking in right there. Magnus, can he actually get away? Popping that mana battery, not enough, however. The brain drain comes out, and Vindicator with the kill. Now they're going for an N4 and N4. She turns around with the mana battery. We see those mana batteries coming to play big time. This seal stun not hitting on both sides, though. Tankafet doing a good job of sidestepping that. Vindicator wants this kill. Brain drain. Yes, he gets both. Beautiful hat trick from Haxon right there. What a play. Oh, man, that was, well, BMG all of a sudden, they're looking very strong now in this trial lane.
Yeah, they just completely savaged that lane, though. Boy was just skirting round when he didn't really. He had like no HP, as you saw there. I think he should have backed off, but obviously our hindsight matter. Let's just go over the other lanes as well, though. Obviously, you got Bubbles versus Jeremiah in that matchup. I do favour Bubbles in that matchup. Obviously, melee versus ranged, and then Deadwood versus Warbeast. That should be in favour of Deadwood as well. Although Warbeast. It is Zane, though. Zane's a very good Warbeast player, but they are getting very low, actually.
Somebody's going to die right here. Yeah, Deadwood's in a horrible spot. He's trying to kill off the Hellhounds. He will. Man, I thought he was going to die for sure, but just enough. That was a good play by Super KG, though. A lot of people might have panicked, tried to run right there, and that would have meant the Hellhounds would have eventually killed him off. But he's like, I got to fight this. And as a result, was able to stay alive and goes back to farm. You see him cancel the mana push right there even. So, yeah, very interesting matchup. What is it looking like? We got a 20-2 Warbeast versus a 19-5 Deadwood. So actually a pretty back-and-forth battle there. Yeah,
I mean, Deadwood does have this creep wave, though, and I think Deadwood will come out ahead in this matchup just because I think Deadwood just has a little bit stronger lane presence. But Zane, though, he's doing very, very good, as to be expected. We're going back down to this shrine, and this is where it all matters, though, most likely, or in most Tri-V tries, it's the most important lane. And after that triple kill given over to Haxrin, though, at least they can stay into that lane. If he did not get that, that would have been a completely one tri lane from Reason. And I think the later this tri lane goes on, though, actually Engineer.
Yeah, he's going to be gone on. Magnus trying to get a range. He's only level 3, though, and that's one of the downsides you were bringing up earlier with these lack of levels earlier on. Magnus, he's a great initiator, but until he has that level 4 stun, it's very minimal distance. And that kind of played out overall right there. So good getaway from BMG's side, and back to farming we go.
Mm-hmm. I think the later this tri lane goes on, though, I think Reason will eventually get more of an better tri lane. Going in again, though, but
yeah.
This is so close, to be fair. But yeah, I think just because the battle cry, though, from Warbeast will eventually tilt their favour overall. So the later this trial goes on, I'm pretty sure it's going to be in favour of Reason. One thing to quickly note, though, that this ward is blocking the pool camp, though, and this is very, very crucial. Very nice ward placement, actually, here from Palais, because I'm pretty sure Reason did try and counter this, and it does allow them at least to stay in this lane. If this pool camp is open, then it will give Magnus and then Infra the levels they do need to actually sort of contribute in this tri lane. So.
You see they're trying to be sneaky again. Now, there is no vision off to the side anymore here for Hellborn side. Magnus, he wants to get that angle, but not going to really be able to get it for now. So Vindicator, here he is level 5. Despite that hat trick, he's only 290 gold per minute right here. Actually very surprised by that. I mean, he's only 15 and 8 in creep farm, so...
But I mean, in a try versus try, like, your creep score is so much less because there's so many things you have to worry about in terms of positioning and sort of getting harassed. So whenever it's try versus try, CS is always a lot lower. But he is ranged, though, so maybe you could sort of expect a little bit more. But he's doing fine though. Actually, middle lane though, Invisible Magnus.
Yeah, he's in trouble. All of a sudden, Magnus comes out. The seal set on top. Will it be enough first damage? Yes, it will. Onmi goes down. Embry actually getting credit for the kill right there. That's the roaming supports. Now, it looked like Bubbles had a little bit of a heads up initially. He was kind of hugging the tower, but they decided to push out right there. They don't have any vision on the map other than that pole camp, which actually just despawned right there. So as you're talking about, that's good that they have that, but they need to get that vision up because obviously that was a kill as a result of lack of vision. And now to the top lane, the Falcon Punch on a Warbeast. Will it be enough for the kill? Yes, it will. Super KG picks it up. He was trying to bait right there. You see the supports coming over, but it's like, nah, you're going to die before that, buddy. And it takes care of business in that sense. So Super KG, man, 390 gold per minute. Yeah, he's off to a fantastic start. And, hey, Deadwood's one of these heroes. You do not want to let that see happen if you're the opposition.
Yeah, definitely, and that's quite a crucial kill, because I think if Warbeast was still in that lane, I think Nymphora and Magnus were going to try and go for a kill. They are still staying up here, so maybe they're still going to try for it, but quite a clutch kill, though, because I think if that was like maybe 5 seconds later, that could have been easily turned in Reason's favour there.
You see, yeah, they still want to get that kill. Warbeast coming back up. He doesn't have his ulti form, so that could be a little bit of an issue as far as him as sitting right here. Super KG running in. There's going to be the initiation Q coming out. Ports are coming in, though, and yeah, they don't have nearly enough damage, man. They need to fall back, especially with the Engineer coming in. That was a very, I mean, that was just a case of raising it. They just really wanted to make it happen, but it just wasn't going to, so. Well played by BMG right there, I guess, and Reason Gaming going to have to find elsewhere to set up their ganks now. You see them kind of maybe heading back towards the middle. But with Engineer pointing top, you got Glacius actually middle currently. So for the time being, Vindicator is solo bottom, but so is Dampier, so.
Yeah, I have to just quickly go, this ward placement here from Tank actually, Bubbles is rotating down bottom. They're going to try and maybe set up a kill on the Dampier, although Nymphora is here as well, but doesn't have any mana. I don't think Bubbles was spotted actually, so. Oh no, he must have been actually. The Rune Ward bottom actually would have been spotted. They're playing really defensive. TP's only on Jerezai, but that should be enough to maybe scare Bubbles away.
Oh yeah. That would definitely do it if he ports in. I mean, Bubbles with that Kelfoot, he definitely wants to go for an opportunity right here. Now, they do have a Vindicator that is level 6, got to keep in mind. So that final chapter lasting 3 seconds at this level. I believe, yeah, 3 seconds. So that's something that could come into play as well. I'm sure will come into play throughout this game, but not going to go for the gank in the end. And yeah, Glacius actually managing to, well, he's trying to at least pick up some solo experience, but he is still level 3 in the meantime here. Of course, not much you can do against a Jerezai who's level 8, 5 levels higher than him, so has to play that pretty defensive.
So I do like this rotation from BMG, actually top lane.
Oh, that was a big rotten grasp miss, because yeah, if that hit, Warby's probably going to fall right here with Engineer coming over, so good job dodging that. Falcon Punch was used right there.
But going back to the lane rotations, I do like it because I did say the longer this tri-lane goes on, I think it's going to be in favour of Reason because of the battle cry. So instead, they disband the tri-lane, and I think they got quite a lot out of it as well. So they got a triple kill on Haxter, and he's got decent GPM. They have shut down Invoice Farm by quite a bit as well. So have to admit the successful tri-lane was there, and they've rotated down Bubbles down bottom as well. So you can sort of run in the suicide while continuing the farm on Vindicator mid. So yeah, overall good rotations from BMG.
Now, I'm always intrigued, especially with a Dampier. I know we've brought this up several times before. Not only, I personally just hate the idea of seeing with the jungle there. Obviously, that's not the case right here, so that's good. But now, will Reason Gaming be on top of stacking the jungle and getting Imboboy that farm? He's had somewhat of a slow start, but by all means, a hero that can recover as long as these camps are stacked. And you do see they got a triple stack. They got a double stacked Wild Hunter. That's a little unfortunate. As he's about that magic damage, but still, it looks like they are attempting to do that. At least we'll see when they start going in. Oh, Nymphora, there's an Invis Ward. She's going to be spotted. In comes the initiation. However, this could backfire. Out comes the final chapter, I believe. Mab is charging in. You see right there, though, he couldn't stun because of that silence, but it has worn off by now. Rotten Grasp, it's going to miss right there. And everybody's going to be fine in the end. So, yeah, that was just you could tell they were a little bit late there on the initiation on Nymphora.
Yeah, Bubbles actually missed the shield surf. I think he panicked and wanted to make sure to get off the silence. I don't think that would have actually killed him for her anyway, but obviously was the reason why she was so high HP in the end. But yeah, going back to the stacks on Dampier though, I think Reason definitely have the time now to actually start stacking the jungle from Dampier because they're not fighting a tri-lane, so the supports are going to have a lot more time to actually start stacking up the jungle. Because they don't really have to protect the Dampier as much. And as you can see, they have triple stacked this hard camp, triple this pool camp as well, and then most likely going to start seeing more stacks as well, just to sort of boost up the farm from Dampier.
Yeah, what do you think of Onmi, by the way, going the Strider route? I mean, I guess it hasn't been the prettiest start here, but Not your
I
usual
don't.
pickup.
I'm really not a big fan of it, but it's something that he does like to do. I think I've seen him do it a couple of times. I just don't think it offers like too much. Like normally Striders are only picked up mainly for sort of supports and when you're sort of roaming and going between the lanes because of the extra bonus movement speed. But it did get a buff though, so I can understand like the extra bit of HP regen, and I think he's one of those players that he just wants to rush the blink or the portal key, and the Striders is going to help him do that. So I can't disagree with it, I guess.
Also, the 150 less gold than it now even costs. So
Exactly.
It's like it's that much
you
more
get
money you
buffed.
can spend towards something else. Yeah, and it does make sense in that aspect. So yeah, has 1050 gold saved up. Definitely working towards that portal key most likely. Next in line, so it's kind of developed into a tri-lane with bubbles here. You got Glacius and Engineer, a very aggressive kill potential tri-lane, no doubt. Middle lane, they're just going back and forth at it, so not much to comment on there. I believe Warbies has been in the jungle a little bit here. He is getting very close to finishing that Abyssal Skull, but for the time being, Vindicator does remain top on the farm, 1,800 gold saved up, farming about 350 gold per minute right here. What route do you expect to see good old Haxorn go here? He could go more the supportish, utility with that tablet and whatnot, or does he go for something like a Hellfire here, you think?
I think he needs to go utility, like something like Vindicate. I think you have to have, so he's going to pick up the tablet as expected. I think you need to at least have at least one mobility item, kind of like Thunderbringer as well. I think you need at least maybe the blink or the tablet, but obviously blink on Haxorn is just, or on Vindicate is not very very useful. And also, like, he isn't going to be able to take this late, though. He's fighting against Warbeast and Dempier in the late game, and trying to pick up maybe like these big items like Sheepstick or Hellflower very early on, I think is just a waste. Maybe wants to get involved, in the mid-fights, the mid-team fights, and Tablet is going to be a lot more useful because of that.
See right here, this warded side off to the side, giving BMG plenty of information in the bottom lane. And Dampier now into the jungle, though, so they saw him go over there, but the lane is pushed up, so not much they can do about that for the time being. There's a double damage rune here as well. Neither team actually knows about it because of lack of vision, so we'll see if that comes into play. But yeah, you do see the light brand pickup on a Dampier right here, so of course the usual, working towards that early Grimoire, still on the red boots, but wants to prioritize the Grimoire, especially with the start that he's had. Is about 307 gold per minute now, and again, that's because of a couple of stacks right there. Now, as I say that, he's going to go into a single stack yellow camp here, so again, don't expect that farm to necessarily shoot up by any means. So it goes back to the idea of having the Dampier, and Recent Gaming struggling a little bit, it seems like, to really make sure that majority of these camps are stacked at least for the time. But what's that?
It looks like there was he's picked up his portal key first of all. It looks like he's going to go for a player as well, and I really like his choice of picking up the Veiled Rot. If you look in the bottom lane, actually, there's this ward here placed by Childly, and it's perfect position. There's been 2 different Ward of Revelations placed to try and block out any kind of vision. Whereas with this, obviously, the Mushroom gank, as we like to call it, Breaky, it's going to be able to make sure that this Ward of Sight is not spotting out the Deadwood. And I'd like to see BMG actually go and contest the jungle from Reason. They have to assume that there's going to be a lot of stacks from Reason because they've got a Dampier on the team. Yeah. And they can sort of really contest it, I think, particularly with this portal key on Deadwood, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
Well, they were kind of... this was a problem, because Devil was going in, but so were the other players, and they don't have the Veiled Rod. So, I mean, that gave Dampier and for the Q to fall back. However, Magnus, he goes for the Eruption play, and he gets the kill on the Bubbles by himself. They had no clue he's here now. Might come at a cost, it looks like. He does have another stun coming up in 2 seconds. Will he somehow manage to get out of this? The Rotten Grass does it, but Deadwood cannot get over there, and he's still in that steam bath for the time being. Finally going to be knocked out by the Kex. Can he stun in time? Yes, he can, but I don't know if he's going to get the distance in the end. He's going to try to just survive as long as possible.
Man.
And, oh my god, he's still alive. There's no way. Okay, yeah, he does get taken out.
It creates so much space right there. Not only did he kill the Bubbles, it allowed Zane to get the top tower as well. So creating a lot of space, and it wasn't even too bad, actually. Top lane, the Warbeast.
Well, as we see that, Warbeast going in with the ulti form, but I realized it pretty quickly. That might have been a bad move. No Falcon Punch was used. And Warbeast is going to fall back. In the meantime, in the middle lane, Haxorn actually gets picked off. So I'm a little surprised Super KG chose not to level 2 ultimate there and maybe try to set up for the kill, but he chose to hold it off, waiting for a better chance, I guess, and in the end, Warbeast just skirts on out of there.
Yeah. And Reason, I think they're having really great map movements. Obviously, Magnus set up the kill bottom, allowed Warbeast to get the tower top, and then obviously most of BMG rotate top, and so Reason said, we have an opening here to kill Haxorn in middle lane, and after that, Reason, we said it going into the game, Breaky, but they're looking really, really hot, actually. Everything they do is just on point.
Yeah. It definitely is. So 16 minutes into the game right now. BMG It's they got the top farmer in Vindicator, actually in Deadwood at 374 gold per minute, but yeah, you got that Warbase and the Dampier really starting to get up there, and Jeremiah has had no impact this game whatsoever. As I say that, he's going to be jump right here. He got the charm off though just before the Song of the Sea silence hit, and as a result, he's going to be more than fine. So you see a case right there, 4 different heroes trying to set up a gank on a Jeremiah, and unfortunately not getting anything out of it. He said no, he is 1-0-1, but my point, it doesn't seem like he's been really team effective yet in this game. And Deadwood, is he in trouble? Look at that dodge by Zane. He knew to expect it. He does run into it in the end. Portal key used by Super KGE. He's still trying to dodge out of this. Now slow, of course, not going to affect him because he's in that ulti form. There is a TP coming in from N4. The energy field locking him down. He's going to go kill it real quick there. Actually, yes, he will end up killing it. But now N4 ports in. She is by herself, however. Oh, no. She's in a lot of trouble. And she's going to be picked off. Not too sure about that decision right there from Kaoli.
Yeah, I think she just wanted to help out on the kill on Deadwood, but that was just good play from both Super KG and Zane, though, respectively. But just going back to something that is slowly coming apparent to me, though, if you look at BMG's lineup, they obviously need to get kills. Like I mentioned it before, they don't have the greatest late game, but they do have good kill potential. They've got Deadwood and Bubbles, and obviously 2 good roaming supports. The only issue is that Reason, we saw the gank on Jeremiah middle lane, they cannot kill him. He puts the inner charm on, or the protective charm, and it cannot be dropped. Similar goes to Warbase as well. He pops the ultimate and he should just be able to skirt away. The only real kill they can really go for is this damn Pit, but he's being sat by the Magnus and the Nymphora. So BMG, with the draft they've got, they need to find kills, and if they don't get it, they are going to, become behind. The bottom lane, though, that's what the kills are talking about.
They're going to get a kill, yeah. I mean, it's one of those cases, though. It's good. They get a kill. That's what we're talking about. But it's on Magnus. Magnus is kind of struggling. He's only 136 gold per minute. That's not really the hero that they necessarily need to kill at the same time. So it's still kind of a spot of sure, be happy, but not too happy here.
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest fear is that these kills that they're getting, they're not really being able to get objectives off it either. They get a kill, but they aren't really able to sort of push the lane, get any more map control. And I think the biggest thing is that they need to control Reason's jungle. You look at Dampier, he wasn't doing too well, and now he's got his Grimoire now, he's going to start rocketing up in farm. And unless they really control the jungle by taking this bottom tower, which they're doing now, it could be bad. But I do like this choice. Take down this tier 1 tower and start controlling Reason's jungle.
Yeah.
That will really restrict Dampier's place to farm, because Jeremiah needs farm middle lane, Warbase is going to take farm top, and the only place that Dampier can really farm is the jungle. But you take that away from them, and obviously that really does help you in terms of objectives in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at Deadwood right here. Holy crap, man. Super KG, 400 now, 412 gold per minute even. So really is just excelling with this farm. And, the obvious portal key first item is again, very obvious to see. But where does he go from here is kind of the question. There's definitely different styles. Do you think Bulwark? Yeah.
I think it has to be Assault's Bulwark. Synergy just so, he's going to go, it looks like he's going to go Demonic Breastplate. There's Assault's Bulwark. I'm wondering if he's going to go straight Demonic or Demonic Breastplate. I've seen some people go Shrunken or even Shield Breaker after it as well. In this game, I think Shrunken would make a lot of sense, actually, because he kind of is the sort of second call here for BMG, outside of, obviously, the Vindicator. Bubbles, Glaciers, and Engineer aren't going to offer too much right-click potential, whereas Deadwood actually is. So if he picks up the Shrunken Head, he can sort of withstand any Magnus, Nymphora, or Dampier kind of magic damage. But Soul's Bulwark definitely useful in terms of sort of setting up ganks. The minus armor just synergizes so well, obviously, with Deadwood, as he dishes out a lot of physical damage.
So you see the tablet pick up for Vindicator. We talked about that earlier. Now he gets the light brand here. Very likely going to be a Grimoire pickup on Vindicator. So we're going to see some damage potential coming out of him, most certainly, as a result of that choice. And in a game where it's what's that?
Sorry, I'm not feeling the pickup though. Honestly, he looks like he's going to go Grimoire, which is fine. It's going to give him some kind of farming potential, which is definitely needed on a Vindicator. But I mentioned it before. I don't think that's the way I think they should take this game. Honestly, I think they need to sort of take a lot more, team fights, take a lot more control, and going this Grimoire, I don't think it's the right item to go. Maybe get an early Hellflower Sheepstick, you said. But this Grimoire, it's going to help him with farming, but I don't think that's the way they should really go about this game.
Bottom lane, Dampier going to be caught out right here. It doesn't have any support coming. It looks like he does. Is it going to be enough life steal to survive? Barely survive. Dodges a shell surf. He goes back in for some more life steal, but not enough. He does go down. Nymphora obviously could only do so much by the time that she got there. So, my boy doing his best to survive, but in the end, gets killed. So now that's a kill that
Yeah,
BMG needs to continue to get and can be very happy with for the time being.
I would like to see them take this tier 1 tower mid as well, because it's all about controlling the jungle. And I think with this kill as well, they can reduce the Dampier's farm even more. Top lane, though, Warbeast is taking the tier 2 tower top, most likely.
Well,
Yep.
oh, those good Kegstone attempt, but not enough to stall him. Now we do see
Oh my
Engineer's going to be
God.
chased down. Look at that damage.
Jeez.
Zane just like, all right, I'm just going to right-click you down. Now he is in a little bit of trouble. Glacia's coming in. Can he actually get a TP out? 5 more seconds. No. He's out of ulti form now, and that's going to be a danger for him. He's going to get pretty heavily kited here, most likely. The Hellhound's still doing some good damage. Going to go for the TP.
Tablet.
They don't have enough burst damage.
Cooldown.
No. Yeah, it's on
cooldown.
cooldown. He used it to get there, and in the end, he actually does get away. So good getaway after that kill on Engineer, especially. We saw the raw damage potential of a Warbeast and what he can do. And now here comes the counter push.
Again, reasoning really good though. Split pushing. The reason being is because they don't want to fight. Like I said, I think BMG they want to force these fights. They've got Vindicator, like one of the strongest team fight kind of style of carries, and reason they're just sort of keeping them occupied, keeping them busy. With the split push top, obviously they weren't able to take the tier 1 tower mid either. So Reason do have a little bit more control over their jungle as well, and it's exactly what they want. Get more farm on the Dampier, get more farm on Warbeast. Take this late. That's their sort of style of game plan. And BMG will obviously want to sort of stop that. But Strong Ahead now picked up on Warbeast, so his split pushing potential is going to be even greater now as well, because he has that obviously magic immunity to sort of get away from any kind of potential ganks.
Magnus stuns through Deadwood right there. Now he's got the portal key. Lands on grasp, but no, there's the steam bath. And now he's going to fall back. Now Dampier is nearby, so they could have definitely set up a turnaround there if Super KG wasn't careful, but he does get away and not going to TP back to base, gets the regen. Oh, yeah, that was close.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen.
Running in for the stun, but unsuccessful. Look at this pickup from Jeraziah, by the way. A freaking Nullstone coming out on Jeraziah here. That is very interesting to see. On a hero like him, how necessary is it, you think?
I think he realised that obviously Engineer's building towards the Nullfire and obviously wants to stop it, but I don't think he's going to be the charm target, honestly. So I don't think it's the biggest deal. Obviously, Deadwood won't have too big of a deal either, so you can just chuck the Oak Bolt. Actually, middle lane though. Oh my god.
We have a fight going on. Dampier jumps in, a big fear to start things off. He will get the kill on Engineer, but at what cost? He had to fall. Jeraziah locked down. Jeraziah's Soul's Blessing. Will it matter in the end? No, it will not. You see Vindicator going right through it with that W attack, and down goes Jeraziah. Man, I mean, yeah, Dampier just got melted as soon as he jumped in. Sure, he got the kill, but it obviously backfired onto him. And you saw Jeraziah right there, exactly, without even a Nullfire Blade. Not even necessary with that. Hell, not even an energy field for that matter. So very good play by BMG right there and able to lock him down.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Reason's initiation was actually perfect there. They bursted down an Engineer before he could get the energy field off, which is exactly what BMG want to. They obviously want the energy field out so they can purge out any repel or protective charm from Jeraziah. But Reason, looks like they didn't even want to take the team fight, or there was some kind of miscommunication. Magnus was pushing bot, and Warbeast wasn't with them either. And BMG, they took that team fight 5v3, and that's the reason why they obviously ended up winning that team fight.
Yeah. So you see a couple of the portal keys here. You got Dampier slowing him down a bit. Now he's got the portal key and the Grimoire despite that, but still wants to work towards finishing that Shrunken Head. I'm sure even with the Jeraziah on the team, like you mentioned, the Nullfire Blade, they got the energy field also to worry about. So it's you definitely still want a way to get that magic community without having to be worried about it getting purged off, of course, especially with the Engineer Ultimate. So going to be prioritizing that, I'm sure. You already got the one onto Warbeast with that said, but yeah, BMG really fighting strong here, and it kind of goes back to also Vindicator's pickup here as far as the Grimoire. You could definitely debate one way or the other, but if they kind of keep neck and neck right here at least, this will give him a lot of damage potential. And we did see, those right clicks doing plenty in that last fight. Nifura portal, that's interesting. Ports in. Places a ward of sight and is like, don't move. Don't move. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Jeraziah going to be jumped right here. He had the Nullstone, but no longer. And down he goes.
It's the Elk Bolt. Like, Deadwood just jumped in. Obviously, Elk Bolt took off the Nullstone and just punched him in the face. And yeah, I have to really disagree with the Nullstone pickup here. Like, if he's worried about getting bursted down, so he makes sure he gets off the Soul's Blessing or the Protective Charm, make sure that he has a portal key. Yeah. Like, he can stay far in the back and then portal key in and then obviously get his stuff off. But with a Nullstone being sort of fronty tank liner, BMG aren't too worried about it, honestly. But now they're going to start rotating over to Kongor as well. They took down the tier 1 tower mid, and with that, they can go over to other objectives. And I think that's probably the item they will need if they want to start going high ground.
Yeah.
They want to give, obviously, token over to Vindicator, so you can sort of just siege the base quite easily. Oh, Zane, I thought he was going to go for the last hit with
that
the
was
dogs.
close, yeah. Did he? Oh, okay, he did pick up the token. That was really close right there. The
Oh my
Hellhounds
goodness.
actually almost doing a lot of work, but Zane in the end, unfortunately, comes up just a little bit short. Magma's bottom lane, he got dusted right here, actually, and Deadwood's coming in. Rotten Grasp it will connect. He runs into it, and down goes Magma, so Nier gets picked off. I was gonna say too, when the team was doing Kongor, Deadwood was actually at the bottom lane, not only farming but harassing Magnus a little bit. And I'm pretty sure Reason Gaming had no clue that Kongor was going on as a result of that. So you know, with him on they figure, they wouldn't be doing Kongor without Deadwood,
Exactly.
and sure enough, they were. So very good execution by Reason.
Definitely, and I don't think Deadwood offers too much to the Kongor fight either. So just sort of having him off elsewhere just sort of reduces the sort of suspicion that they're doing Kongor, for example. But was that Hellflower picks up on Bubbles? Okay, so again, even more ways still with the Jeremiah. Because I still don't think this null sign is going to be useful, as I said. Because a Hellflower is obviously useful in a team fight if you can use it on someone who's actually in the team fight. But going back to the portal key on Jeremiah, if he did have it, then he's in no real danger of getting Hellflower from Bubbles. So even more reasons why I'm not a big fan of this null sign pickup ranking.
Yeah, that's when I saw it. It's like the idea of a null stone and protective charm is good, but the first thing that you pointed out is like he's not necessarily going to be that target. So it's almost like he kind of had one thing in mind, but didn't really think it all the way through, I feel, as far as that's concerned. And like we even saw, the Oak Bolt from Deadwood just easily removes it, and they can Falcon Punch right through anyway. So definitely some very, very curious decisions there as Cheoli at the top lane. Yeah, and N4 gets picked up. Not much he can do by himself with this Deadwood lurking around. Who is level 16 now, by the way, and has another 3,100 gold saved up. But yeah, level 16 is the big part there, because 725 physical damage now. Meanwhile, Top Rune Engineer going to be jumped on, but at what cost here from Magnus? He gets caught on. Dust comes out. The Steam Bath not going to matter as a result. However, he will portal key away. How did he portal key away is my question. He is going to get Hellfired here and eventually picked off. Wow, that was...
He dropped the portal key and picked
so
it up
he
again.
did drop it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty
even
sure
Pallet is like, how did you do that? Oh my gosh, that was interesting right there.
That was a nice play, but
still not enough to survive. But yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, but BMG though, they're finding all these kills, and like it's ridiculous though, because BMG obviously had to find these kills, obviously because it's sort of the style of draft. But I really didn't think they were going to able to do that. But again and again, Super KG just finds these openings that you just don't seem to think that they could happen, but they do. I think Reason. At the start, I think at maybe the mid game, they were really focusing on sort of split pushing, but Zane's been sort of rotating over to the jungle. So when that does happen, then it allows more time for BMG to sort of look for those ganks, which could be the reason. And I think with the stronger head now, I think he should be focusing a little bit more on split push as well. Dampy should most likely take over the jungle, because I think he's very easy to get picked off if they do focus him, whereas Shrunken on a Wall Beast, even with the Deadwood punch going through Shrunken, I think he still might be able to survive it, but...
Yeah.
Alas.
That was close right there. You see the bubbles escaping. They're even using the courier to try to scout him out, but he is going to be fine, of course. So Dampier back to farming up a little bit, going to the Ancients. Another 1,200 gold. I got to think he has something else, right? Because he has the Grimoire and Portican out for a little bit, and he's farming 450 gold per minute. So we'll see when he comes back to base right here, what he's maybe been stockpiling.
Yeah,
there we go.
Shrunken.
Yeah, there's the Shrunken head that he has.
I think it's always safe to go Shrunken head. Like, even though you've got a Jeremiah on your team, obviously they've got Nullfire, as we sort of talked about, but also it allows Jeremiah to either put it on another target, or he could put it on Dampir before he even goes into the team fight without popping Shrunken head, for example. So it gives him a little bit more ease of execution.
Magnus lines on, and the first one's an illusion. It baits out quite a bit. Engineer, he gets energy field off. He may die. Oh no, he gets away with the kicks on Dampir, taking some good damage. Soul's Blessing was used. Here comes the eruption as well. Vindicator sitting in the midst of it. He's going to get taken out. He has a token, however. And he's going to come right back up in the background. Warbeast, he's being locked down. He's going to come out of ulti form. Final chapter finally used right there. And now Warbeast, he's just holding his ground. Will eventually get picked up in the background. Magnus falls as well as Nymphora. And BMG, a 3-for-0 exchange right there. That was an interesting fight playing out. The final chapter, that long to use was kind of interesting, but...
Exactly. I was saying to myself, "Oh man, this is a massive misplay." But Action clearly knew exactly when to use it, held it for the perfect timing, and then obviously got 3 kills after that. Because I was thinking like he held the final chapter for a long time, and when he did use it, all the big ultimates already popped. So obviously the Soul's Blessing, the Eruption, then Warbeast's Metamorphosis as well. But obviously still did get the 3 kills. But I think reason they maybe stood. Or so they were in the team fight maybe for a little bit too long. Like after they killed Vindicator, got rid of his token, but I think reason they were staying around for a little bit too long because Final Chapter was not used, and I don't know if they could even defended that tier 2, but they did nonetheless. But it was still at a cost, as you said.
No buybacks used throughout all that fight, so everyone still has those good to go. Something else I think we've kind of both overlooked a little bit, but I still think it's very debatable on whether or not it's the best pickup, is the idea of Nullstone stopping the final chapter. So, of course, there is that logic there. Now that he does have the portal key, it will allow him to sit pretty far back, and in case the final chapter is used, it will be absorbed by that. Yeah. So, I think the combo of the two makes a lot more sense. Exactly. I still think you could argue the portal key first. Could have possibly been a better pickup.
I'd agree as well. Because at least, obviously, we talked about having Wisely have a portal key and sort of sit in the back and then go in, obviously, but he could just get final chaptered and then that wouldn't be able to be useful anyway. But with both of them, as you said, he's able to do that combo now. Sit in the back and then make sure he gets a Soul's Blessing off. Because that's pretty much his job in the team fight. Make sure to get Soul's Blessing off and a Protective Charm and maybe in and a light if useful. And that's why normally whenever we see Jerezai, we see him on a support role because all he has to do is make sure he gets the Soul's Blessing and the Protective Charm off. And like as a core, or as a support you can do that, but as a core you're expected to do a little bit more. But still working out for reasons so far here anyway.
Look at this Veiled Rock Ink, man. Pretty much everyone except Vindicator has a Vindicator is going to be like, yeah, I'm by myself, no big deal. And all of a sudden everyone's going to be there to jump on whoever jumps him perhaps. The Hellhound is scouting out Vindicator, but that is it. It's not actually exposing anyone else because it's invisible itself. You see Vindicator trying to bait it out. There we go. There's the Q. Storm Spirit going to be popped out. Shrunken had already popped by Dampier. He goes in. Nice tablet out. This is what they wanted here on BMG. Will they be able to execute? In comes the Shrunken Head of Warbeast trying to kill the interference. Oh, the big burst onto him! Even with the Shrunken Head, it doesn't matter. That damage from Deadwood, so intense right there. Obviously, not only the straight-up physical, but the big strength reduction. Magnus, he didn't stun, though. He didn't have a stun. Not enough mana. They do get the kill on Magnus, or on Glacius, as well as Engineer. Down goes Magnus out. Down goes Jeremiah as Dampier jumps back in with the charm, but a hat-trick already coming out for Haxer now. It was a great jump chance for Magnus, but he wasn't able to fully execute it. A quad kill for Haxerin. It looks like Dampier will survive. He goes back in. In fact, he missed a Terrorize initially, and now that might backfire. We could see an Annihilation right here, possibly. No, he is going to fall back, and that could do it, I believe. Yes, it is. So they're going to ultimately all fall back together, maybe. They still want that kill, man. But holy crap. I mean, Magnus was a stun away from perhaps that fight being completely different, but he didn't have the mana on him. Wow.
Yeah, just a little bit unlucky. They are going to secure the tier 2 tower now. I thought they wasn't even going to get it, but they eventually do. All TP back. And
either he didn't have the mana, or maybe he was silenced by the totem.
No. Okay. He didn't have the mana. He didn't have the mana. Okay. I checked. He did have a mana battery, though, which I'm not sure if that would have been enough, but he had charges on his mana battery that he didn't use. Probably wouldn't have been enough anyway. But again, though, BMG knowing exactly what they need to do, like they're strong in the mid game. Obviously, I talked about how Warbeast and Dampier are most likely going to take this late, but with all these kills and these team fights going in the way of BMG, I think BMG can probably contest in the late game as well, though. Vindicator is doing surprisingly a lot of damage as well, picked up the sheep stick now as well. So as long as BMG keep up the pressure, it doesn't matter if he goes too late. But again, Magnus...
Oh, man, Magnus going to be jumped right here. Magnus in a lot of trouble. Is he going to end up falling? He barely stays alive in the background as Dampier in the front, but there's a Falcon Punch onto him, despite the Shrunken Head, of course. Now they turn on to Bubbles. Bubbles will get taken out, so Engineer and Bubbles dead. And now, for the first time in recent game, it looks like they're coming out on top of a team fight. They're going to keep pursuing. No buybacks coming up for the Hellborn side. Big Terrorize from Dampier right there. Gets the kill on the Glacius, and Haxerin going to fall as well. Beautiful execution from Raisin Gaming. And a 4-for-0 exchange on their part, and now they're going cutthroat towards the middle lane here.
I have to admit, BMG, I think they got a little bit overexcited. Like, they all four were sort of smoked up and going for it, but Vindicator was about 2,000 units away. They took that team fight 4v5, and Reason did capitalize, and now they've got Warbeast on their team as well. This could even be Rax breaky.
Yeah, it very likely could be. In fact, the tower It's starting
No
to drop
buyback for
right
Vindicator.
here. Okay, does he have? Yeah, he does
No,
not have a buyback. No, yeah,
no,
nobody does.
it's
Engineer
50
and a
my
spawn
goodness.
right there, but just the two of them. What are they going to do? So, wow! I mean, just what a turn of momentum.
What just happened? What just happened?
You're right, though. I mean, it goes. It's BMG has nothing but themselves to blame right there. They got a little too excited, as you put it. You know, arguably should have waited for the next Kongor, which, by the way, just spawned right here, and waited for a more appropriate time to fight. But yeah, they win it without their big cooldowns, a couple of them being up, and just not at the right time. And all of a sudden, Reason Gaming has a pretty good lead now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not so much against them going to try and take a team fight straight away. It's just that Vindicator was nowhere to be seen in the team fight. Like, Super KG and Omi jumped in, but they were like, 10 seconds ahead of Vindicator, plus they have portal keys as well. Vindicator was sort of lacking behind, and when he got there, the team fight was already over. 3 were already dead, and they were not really able to sort of take their team fight. And again, like as you said before, Breaky, they didn't really have cooldowns up, or, they didn't have ultimates up. Final chapter was still on cooldown, and they could have easily secured Kongor as well. They were up like 7,000 gold. They had good map control as well. Most tier 2s were down for Reason. And now that gave a lot of gold over to Reason and gave them ways back into the game. Because I think BMG were really looking good before that.
Absolutely, and just their execution. I mean, the Veiled Rot gank or the Veiled Rot setup that they did was just beautiful, and clearly they came here to play. But yeah, again, just getting overzealous, and before you know it, Reason Gaming is in a pretty good spot themselves now. 500 gold per minute on Dampier, not what you want to see if you're PMG. Because again, in the back of your mind, it's like that's one thing, but you also have a war base that's 400 plus, and this is also on top of that with a Jerizaiah support. Hell, you even got an Infora thrown in there that can constantly be going around and making things difficult in that end of things. So BMG most certainly had an opening, and that it's kind of closed big time here. Definitely still a chance, but it's going to once again require some good execution on their part. You see they're interested in Kongor, but Zane doing a pretty good job of keeping the Hellhound sent in there and making sure to be on top of getting that information just in case. Now, right now would be a good time, as you see. Yeah, there is no vision, but as I say that, here come the Hellhounds. They're going to at least scout it out. Now, they do have a bound die. Oh, no, I thought they did, actually, but yes, they do. Yeah, they have one engineer right here. So they know that the Hellhounds are here.
They're top lane.
Are they? Oh, my God, they are. Kind of. Jerizaiah and Dampier up here. So this is decision time for Reason Gaming. Now Zane, he's going to go for the steal or something. He does not get the last hit, and he dies in the end. So could have jumped by Zane once again. But here's the backdoor 10. Might be thwarted. There's the Oak Bull to take off the Nullstone. But Jerizaiah, portal keys away. Going to be fine. Now, how far will BMG chase? It looks like that will be it.
They must have not seen him, though. I think it must have been fogged. He was like right up. They literally walked past him. I guess they didn't see him. Like this little nook and cranny there just does not get vision. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. Reason felt that they needed to resort to such drastic measures, actually, though, because I think they could have taken that team fight in Kongor. Like, they have great AoE with obviously the Magmus Eruption, and they've got stronger heads on both of their cores right now. So I'm surprised they felt the need to sort of just backdoor that, really. But and they don't really get anything out of it. They get maybe 60 or 70% onto the tower, but now they lose token. They've got a token now on Vindicator, and I think the game plan here for BMG is that they need to sort of push out lanes, because obviously Reason could easily do that again, particularly the top lane, because obviously it's only 30% HP now. They need to push out lanes, and I think they do need to make use of this token, try and get some racks of their own right now. And I would like to see actually some good vision up here, maybe placed by Pally or Tankerfit in the top lane, because otherwise they could just backdoor straight again, and they're most likely to take the racks top lane. They've got an Infora TP as well, so they really need some good vision, particularly on this high ground where Chowley's got a ward, because otherwise they're going to just sort of backdoor this without too much sort of heads up play. Whereas if they have a ward there, they at least have a little bit more time to really react to it.
Yeah. Now, just a quick update here. Because the quad kill happened, that's one of the flash sale activations. Actually playing the Vindicator got that earlier. The Judge Vindicator is now actually on sale for 30 minutes here. For the next 30 minutes, 20% off. So there you go. Flash sale already kicking in. And we'll try to do our best to update you guys. So yeah, again, the flash sales, again, check out the forum poster as well as the Han Tour post on that for more information. But yeah, another just great way to have the community or a reason to watch these matches and be on top of that. But anyways, back to the match itself. You do see Dampier. He's kind of in the Hellborn jungle. You saw Delwood trying to go for an attempt to catch him, but in the end, he's just a little bit too quick and able to get away right there. Delwood actually a Blessed Orb picked up. Obviously one of those items that can turn into many things. so intrigued to see which one this turns into. Maybe something like a sheep stick, you think, here? For Deadwood, just more lockdown?
I think so, really, because I think with more lockdown, they have great burst potential, and with that, if they can get more lockdown, they can probably blow up either the Dampier or even the War Beast. I don't see why not. I don't know what else it would really turn into that would be very useful for him, and I think Sheepstick would make the most amount of sense. I'm surprised he's not actually going for a Shrunken Head, though, because Deadwood can dish out quite a lot of damage as well, and there's a lot of lockdown here from Reason itself, but... Oh! Nope. Charizard pulled right next to him, but... Yeah, Sheepstick is fine. It'll give him even better counter split push potential, because for even more gank potential, but top lane no Dampier blows up bubbles.
Yeah, he just does it pretty quickly right there, so a little bit late to it, but the idea of him getting bursted down, not too surprising now. 3 of them are here. He's trying to pour it out, but here comes Engineer all of a sudden. That's going to thwart their plans. Final chapter used as well. Pops the Shrunken Head of those Dampier. And now he's going in. Terrorize off the bat. Here's a Falcon Punch, though. Warbeast in the front lines. Deadwood, he's taking some good damage right here. And Deadwood is going to fall, but now Imboboy's in trouble. Imboboy goes out. The collection now pouring in plenty. Zane does pick up a double tap, but so does Haxorin. Tablet? No, he TP'd on accident, I think. Or no, he's TP'd to the bottom lane, I guess. Wants help down here because Magnus was pushing it in, and he actually does get picked off. So I think, yeah, that was just him like saying, screw it. He wants to go for a kill down here, which he does get. But Warbeast at least does survive, so they have a very interesting fight at the top lane. And they do clean up at least. The Vindicator still has a token only for a minute, though, so they're not going to really be able to use the most aggressive here. It looks like in the end for BMG, which is a little unfortunate.
And I think this is because BMG, they didn't have the way to really sort of push out the lanes. Like, when BMG started clumping up, because the lanes weren't pushed out, Reason, as you saw, made that play there. They started split pushing, and Magnus was going bottom. I think probably it was a little bit still in favour of BMG. They did get the kill on the Dampier and the Magnus. But they did still lose Deadwood and Glacius, and they wasn't able to use the token, which I think is the biggest thing. With all these lanes pushed out so much, BMG are nowhere near really sort of threatening the base, honestly. And this just comes back to a really good play from Reason. They're splitting the map so much with the Nymphora, the War Beast, and even the Magnus is doing quite a good job actually of split pushing as well. And I think the Sheepstick on Deadwood will change a degree to some extent because of it, because they have even better gank potential, for example. But they're smoking up here, but the lanes they're still not pushed out, and I think this could come back to bite them again. Yeah,
it's gonna be a very risky decision here, but we'll see how this plays out. Of course, no more token. Portal Key just picked up on Vindicator though, so he has that going into this fight.
They need catch. They need catch potential. Yeah. Like, with all these split push, they need gank and catch potential, and that's what these Sheepsticks and Portal Keys offer them. So.
That is the idea. You just look at these Veiled Rods, man. How much longer do they have left? Yeah, not much longer, so they're not going to get really anything out of it in the end either. I mean, you look at the minimap. Nobody of Recent Gaming is even remotely close. Yeah.
Just the bottom is completely pushed in as well, and like it's obvious though, because lanes are not pushed out. This becomes incredibly obvious because look, this bottom lane is pressuring their tier 3 tower, and no one's going to farm it. Like, that screams to Reason that they're probably going for a smoke gank, and obviously now they're taking top tower. But like, you have to make sure that the smoke ganks aren't obvious, because you won't get anything out of it if they're obvious, because Reason will just dodge it, as they did right there, because lanes were not pushed out.
Yeah, team's just perhaps still trying to learn the item. Ultimately, it hasn't been in too long, to be fair. But Warbeast in the meantime is going to be dropped out. There's the counter from Dampier. Soul's Blessing comes out. Warbeast is still dropping, but no, he pops Shrunken Head, and now he's going in with that Shrunken Head, putting the right clicks. Vindicator doing some good damage. So, Boston Brutalizer proc, not enough, however. And down goes Warbeast. Dampier is still alive, however, as he jumps in onto Vindicator. Now, Vindicator, the stun from Magnus, he will be finished off, as will Engineer, maybe barely alive with that Kex down. Final chapter pop by Vindicator as soon as he buys back right there. So, again, a pretty late final chapter coming out. But decided better than never right now. Nymphora, she gets caught. Magnus stuns through, though, gets away. Nymphora ports out. God. And Magnus is going to be able to port out as well. Beautiful getaway in the end. Again, they got the buyback in the Vindicator. Oh, Magnus, actually. He is going to end up falling most likely. Steam Bath. Oh, they don't know he's here. Well, they know he's here, but they can't see him. Oh, the stun missed. That would have been big, at least, to get a counter kill. But no, he's unable to do so. And Nier still goes down. So, 45.5 minutes in.
Oh, Deadwood.
I mean, they do hold Deadwood. He is in trouble, though. There's a jump from Dampier. And there's not much he's going to be able to do. Yeah, Super KG sticking around a little bit too long right there. And a good job by Reason deciding to come back in and finish him off at least.
Reason are so good at this sort of split push because, like, they're having all these heroes on the map and they're really pushing BMG to their limits. Like, and actually they're going back in, actually trying to take these racks.
They're going to try to finish this right here, right now. Dampier in the meantime. There pops the Protective Charm, of course, taking out the Sheepstick. Jarazai jumps on Vindicator. That will apply the pretty heavy slow aura. He's going to pop his own shrunken head, though, as realizing he's getting gone on now. And he's going to start falling back. Of course, that's his most recent item that he just got. Bubbles chasing. Has a Kelpfield, actually. Oh, yeah, they're going to keep chasing this. Shrunken head pop by Dampier, and 4 will be picked off, though. And now Dampier, he needs to be careful. A double damage rune, though. Uh-oh, this could get interesting. He portal keys out. Then Bubbles, though, jumps in with a Song of the Sea. Quick Storm Spirit. Here goes Warbeast, though. And there's the turn on the Bubbles that we're waiting for. The double damage Dampier. You do not want to fight into that, and that they do. Nice energy field. It will purge everything off of Dampier, but still, all of a sudden, BMG once again on the run here. Again, they chase a little bit too far. Unmi using his second and final buyback. Puts down the Glyph of Silence. This fight's still not over, and it's still not going to be over. There's a jump on a Vindicator. The heal just a little bit too late. The Sheepstick comes out, but an immediate charge to get him out with the Nullifier right after. Going to be slowed, but Deadwood's finally back up. Oh, man, it's just back and forth, man. It doesn't stop. Is this finally going to be it, Deadwood? No.
Man, This game has been intense. Like, from start to finish, it has not stopped any action. And it looks like Reason are still going to push in. Again, middle lane is being pushed in because of the Rax is down. And I think they know that they can take this as well. They're going to go in.
Well, Dampier wants to take Bubbles right here. Take cover at the last second. Barely staying alive. Not for long, though. He does get taken out. Starting to have an indicator in the background. Deadwood jumps Jarazai, but that Nullstone definitely coming to play right there. Pops the Soul's Blessing. Going to be fine. That might do it, actually. Recent Gaming, they take a second set of racks. You see the vote to concede. Yeah, BMG knows that they're just too far behind now, especially with their makeup. They're not going to be able to fight back into this one. So GG, well played. BMG takes game number 1 here. But, yeah, what a game it was. I mean, but again, BMG, in a sense, has nobody but themselves to blame. It was that one fight that they decided to push in for.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
It definitely was that one team fight that was the critical sort of turning moment right there. Like, it was all because Vindicator wasn't involved in that team fight, and obviously I think that's just BMG. The other 4 were a little bit too hasty. They took the team fight. Vindicator was lacking, and they lost that team fight. And after that, Reason just took control of the game. But it got into the late game, as I sort of suggested, where they would have the superior late game because of the Dampier and Warbeast. But I think a big factor that wasn't too sort of noticed at first was the split push. Like, BMG were really having difficulties pushing out the lanes. I mean, they don't have the greatest sort of lane clearer. Like, Vindicator with the Grim Eyes, okay, I guess, but Warbeast, as well as actually Magnus, was doing great jobs of sort of keeping the lanes pushed in, giving them a lot of map control to sort of take the game later and later, and really sort of slow down any kind of group up and push that BMG were going to try and go for. And yeah, I think BMG most likely had that game after that team fight, but again, Reason capitalized on it, and I think they deserve the win at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well played by Recent Gaming, and we'll see how BMG now responds coming into what's going to be game number 2 here between these two teams, obviously. So with that said, as usual, guys, going to take a short break, but game number 2 going to be coming up next here on Honcast. We got Recent Gaming versus Bad Monkey Gaming, round of 8 action coming at you from Han Tour Season 3 Cycle number 8. Stay tuned. We got some more Han coming at you. We'll be right back.